I never knew my mom had a whole other life before she became the quiet woman who moved around our home like a shadow. She cooked, cleaned, kept the house together, but she never talked about herself. Not about her dreams, not about her past, not about the person she was before marriage. It all started on a random evening when I went into our storeroom searching for an old charger. A stack of dusty sketchbooks fell out of a torn cardboard box. When the pages opened, my world stopped. Beautiful portraits, faces so real they felt like they could breathe, landscapes filled with light and emotion. My mom had been an artist. My younger brother, Zayn, appeared behind me. His eyes widened when he saw the books. "You found them," he whispered. "Why were these hidden?" I asked. He sighed, "Because Dad told her to stop. Years ago, she still cries when she sees them." That sentence broke something inside me. That night, Mom was sitting alone in the kitchen, staring at her hands like they were strangers to her. I placed a sketchbook on the table. She froze. "Where did you find this?" "In the storeroom," I said softly. "Mom, these are amazing. Why did you stop?" Her voice cracked. "Your father didn't want an artist for a wife. He wanted someone who stayed home, someone who didn't dream too big. And you agreed." She smiled painfully. I chose peace over fights, but choosing peace also meant choosing silence. I didn't know what to say. I never imagined my mother, so gentle, so selfless, had buried something so big inside her. But the truth didn't stay quiet for long. 2 days later, Dad came home early, angry, the kind of quiet anger that makes the whole house hold its breath. He slammed a paper onto the table. A sketch, a child's portrait, Mom's recent work. "This," he said sharply, "is what you've been doing behind my back, taking money now, drawing again." Mom's hands shook. "They insisted on paying, I didn't ask." Dad's voice rose. "This is why I told you to stop years ago. Art is a distraction, it's useless." I stepped forward before she could defend herself. "It's not useless, you just never tried to understand her talent." Dad turned toward me, eyes burning. "You think you know more than I do." "No," I said quietly but firmly, "but I know you've made her smaller year after year." For the first time ever, Zayn stood beside me. "Dad, let her draw, she's actually good, really good." Dad looked stunned, not angry, stunned, like someone had pulled the ground from beneath him. He walked out without a word. But life doesn't stop for anyone, not even strict fathers. The next evening, the doorbell rang. A woman from the City Arts Foundation stood there with a folder. "We saw your wife's artwork online," she said. "We'd like to feature her in our upcoming exhibition." Mom was shocked. "Online, I didn't." Zayn raised his hand. "I posted them. I wanted people to see her art." The woman smiled. "Your mother has natural, raw talent. We don't come across this every day." She handed Mom an official invitation. Dad stood in the back, frozen. And that night, for the first time in 20 years, a spark returned to my mother's eye. Mom didn't sleep that night. I heard her walking up and down the hallway, stopping now and then as if she was scared to take the next step. The next morning, Dad finally asked, "Are you going to that exhibition?" Mom didn't look at him. "I don't know." He frowned. "I only asked a simple question." "No," I said. "You're trying to push her toward your answer." Dad stared at me, shocked at my boldness. Mom finally spoke. Her voice shook but didn't break. "I'm afraid to go." "Why?" Dad asked. She lifted her eyes to him, something she hadn't done in years. "Because every time I chose my passion, you punished me, not with your hands, but with your silence, your anger, your disappointment." Dad looked down, guilt settling over him like dust. Zayn said softly, "Dad, she's not leaving us. She just wants to live too." Dad sat down, rubbing his forehead. "I didn't know you felt this way. I never realized." Mom whispered, "Because I stopped telling you. You never listened." For the first time in my life, I saw my father truly speechless. Then he took a deep breath. If this makes you happy, go. Don't be afraid, I won't stop you. Mom's tears finally fell. But the biggest twist arrived 3 days later. The City Arts Foundation called again. Your mother, the woman said excitedly, has been selected for a 6-month paid artist residency. Mom dropped the phone. Dad picked it up, listened, and then slowly turned toward her. You should take it, he said. Do what you were born to do. Mom shook her head. But if I leave, who will manage the house? Dad actually smiled a little. We will. You don't have to sacrifice anymore. For the first time in decades, Mom allowed herself to choose herself. She said yes. On the first day of the residency, she wore a simple blue dress she hadn't worn since before marriage. Dad didn't stop her, didn't criticize. He just walked beside her proudly. At the art center entrance, a board had her name. Guest artist Mehar Arif, the woman who paints emotions. Mom covered her mouth, overwhelmed. A young girl approached her and said, Auntie, I want to draw like you, but my parents say art is useless. Mom knelt down, smiling through tears. Art is never useless. Sometimes it's the only thing that keeps people alive. Dad watched her, not with anger, not with fear, but with pride. Real, honest pride. When we returned home, Dad placed a brand new sketchbook on the dining table. For your next masterpiece, he said. Mom held the sketchbook like a treasure. Thank you for letting me be myself. Dad replied softly, thank you for giving me a chance to change. And he did change. Mom filled that sketchbook in a month, then another. Her art began appearing in magazines, exhibitions, and online galleries. But the biggest change wasn't her success. It was our home. Finally breathing, finally peaceful, finally filled with color again. 20 years ago, my mom buried her dreams to keep the family together. 20 years later, chasing those dreams healed us all. And that's how the woman who spent half her life in silence became the voice that saved our family.